Well, it's a special edition of Ask Your Meteorologist since we have Judy Fraser joining us this afternoon.
We've got a few questions from viewers for you. Usually we're asking Jacob or Adam, but today we've got another meteorologist in the house. We better ask you. Are you up for a few questions?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay. Well, let's get right to it. Here is our first question from Crystal. How did you get started doing the woolly worm forecast? We kind of touched on this earlier.
Kind of, because I had an interest in these fascinating little woolies for a long time. And when I came here some 45 years ago, I think, I decided to do a little research. I did a show called Newscope at 4 o'clock. And I was always looking for little stories, little venues that I could make a connection with people. And that was one of them. I thought, I'm going to do research on my little fuzzy wuzzies. And so that's how it started. And I started doing the forecast then. And it just grew and grew. Now it's a little bit different today because of social media. You can get hundreds and hundreds of reports. Then people actually brought the woolly worms in. Mason jars, little cups with plastic on them. So it was totally different then, but that's how it started a long time ago.
And we have to give a shout out to all of your woolly worm wranglers.
Oh my goodness. Well, forecasting the winter, whether it's by a caterpillar or a computer, is never a sure thing. But the one thing I'm sure of, I love my woolly worms and my woolly worm wranglers. I couldn't do it without them. Look at all these pictures of the worms that come in.
And this is only a small portion.
Portion of them, yes. I know. And I get hundreds of people coming up to me in the fall months and telling me what color and what they look like. And so I'm always eternally grateful. I couldn't do that without all of my wranglers at home, and I love it.
Yes, so good. Okay, up next, our next question here. Let's take a look here from Pat.
Is the woolly worm more accurate than the persimmon seed?
I think so. The persimmon seeds, obviously we said the knife, the fork, or the spoon, and I've seen them all in my many years of looking at them. But it seems like in the last 8, 9, 10 years, they've all been spoons that didn't really correlate to the winter that we had. And the woolly worm has a much better accuracy rate, about 80%, generally speaking. 20%, not so good.
There you go. Okay, our next question here from Deborah. Does she have a memory with Mr. Roberts to share?
I do. He was, when I came to the station many, many years ago, he was a legend. And he was just a delightful man. But whenever he would go on vacation or he would have a conference or a speech, I would fill in for him. And one time he said, Judy, can you fill in with me next Thursday because I have to go to Paris?
Oh.
And I thought, whoa. And I said, do you want a couple of days? I mean, how can you go to Paris, give your speech, and get back for Friday? And he said, no, it's Paris, Illinois. I was very new, very green here, but I'll never forget that because he had this puzzled look on his face.
Oh, no.
My gosh, I love that.
Okay, one final question from Jacob. Here we have, what was the scariest weather event you remember covering?
Oh, no question. In my entire weather career, which spans Wisconsin, Boston, and here, was April 19th, 1996, when we had a rash of tornadoes that just clobbered central Illinois from Decatur to Monticello to Urbana, just blew away Ogden, St. Joe. But we had other things that, it was like a tsunami of things that could go wrong. I was by myself. We didn't have a team approach then. And we didn't have the capabilities. We had a weather wire, which was down.
Of course.
And we were refurbishing the studio. So everything, there were plastic sheets everywhere. And I was in the back of the studio, sitting at a desk with no weather wire and trying to give these warnings out. So the newsroom, I'd run back and forth, which was in a different part of the building. And Ed Keyser, who was our weekend weather guy, also worked at WILL. And so between the two of us, but it was so stressful because you're trying to save people's lives. Yeah. And these were terrible, and they occurred at night, so you couldn't see them. But I'll never forget that. For 8 hours, my voice, I never wanted to alarm people to the point that they were scared to death. But inside, I was a bowl full of jelly.
Oh, well,
We're thankful for our meteorologists.
Yes, absolutely. Okay. Judy's going to stick around because we still have that forecast for the 2023-2024 winter still to come.